Thank you all for tuning in. This is Iman and
Selena.
Together we make you plus happy. Each week we bring you someone who challenges us to define success and happiness on our own terms with a dose of laughter.
Remember to like and subscribe to the You Plus Happy podcast. You can also follow us on Instagram at You Plus Happy. Hi, Iman.
Hey, Selena. How are you?
Bueno. How are you?
I'm good. Anything happened this week that you want to share with our listeners?
How do I word this without telling all my business? Something happened that I didn't like. Okay. And I didn't like it at all. It made me very angry and sad and upset, which happens. But I woke up one morning and I was like, I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to do anything. But I had to, because life goes on. And then all the stuff that we talk about, that I read, all the practices came in my brain. And they were like, we're not doing that. No, you have too many tools. And I know I don't want to be insensitive. I know it's not that easy for everyone because we go through real stuff. But what I was mad about, it was valid, but it wasn't enough for it to let it control me. So I was like, no, pick up the pieces. And I was like, and then I was like, fake it till you make it. Like, think about the things that you do have. Think about what makes you happy. Fake laugh. So I started laughing at nothing. Like, I was like, oh, something's funny. I know it. I started singing. I was like, no. And I'm not saying I'm not still mad about what I was mad about. However, I was able to like get through my day in a positive way and be, I don't know, I was just proud of myself for like not sinking too deep into it. Yeah. Like, and because this is the last part of it. I hope all this makes sense. But like 10 years ago, no, longer than that, 15 years ago, a very similar thing happened. And I didn't have any of the tools that I have today, like none. And it was devastating. Where now with these tools that I have and just being older and certain wisdom that comes with living, I was just happy that I had all those tools to cope with it that I didn't have before. And I was like, Selena, you've come too far to let the same thing take you down like it did the first time. Yeah. Like, so I don't know. I was proud of myself. And if you listen to this podcast, that means you want to be great in life. So just keep putting the good stuff in. It will really help. So I don't want to sound too simplistic because life, there's real blows sometimes, but if you can pick up the pieces.
Yes, that self-growth is always a good thing. So that's good. I'm proud of you too.
Hey, thanks. So what about you?
So nothing specific has really happened, but I'd say in the last week I've become very focused, which I'm proud of myself for. So just in terms of, I guess I had a realization. I'm like, we're almost at the end of the year, and I've always set goals for myself throughout the year, and usually we'll check in, but I've been so busy I haven't been checking in as regularly. So it's really like this last 2 weeks I've started to check in on just like my financial goals, my fitness goals, just personal goals, professional goals. And I'm like, all right, Iman, you're not as far as you want to be, but I feel like I'm focused now. And I'm like, all right, what are you going to do in the next few months before the year is over? So I'm feeling good about that. I'm taking time every day to just reflect and be like, all right, what did you do to work towards this? So progress. My boot camp has been kicking my butt though.
Good. That's what it's supposed to do.
Yes.
I love that you're like, I'm not where exactly I want to be, but taking that time to make sure I take steps towards where I want to be, and like not being it's different perspectives to that, right? You could have looked at that like, oh, I ain't get where I wanted to be, forget it. Oh, I suck at life. Instead, you're like, I know you don't talk like that to yourself. That's an exaggeration, but instead you're like, okay, I'm proud of myself for where I am now, and I'm gonna take the steps to get even further.
Yeah,
I love that. I want to do that too.
you can. We can be each other's accountability partners.
Yes, I'm so proud of us. Go you.
Same.
Yeah. Good.
So who do we have on this week?
This week we have Borut Lesjak, who is an intuitive healer and author from Slovenia. Since childhood, he has been drawn to grok, the mystery of existence. During the vulnerable years of his carefree youth, he awakened to the awareness of death and life, discovering a gift of claircognizance. Life hard-rocked the sensitive adult Lesjak to a state of hopeless haze until he ignited an inner choice to heal himself. Breathwork meditation, coupled with creative expression, opened his heart and mind to restore his innocence. Grounded by realness larger than life, he found his calling by bringing clarity, compassion, integration, and joy to his beloved planet for all to experience. After residing and working in Australia, USA, Mexico, and Paris, France, he is now back in Slovenia, growing roots with his wife and 3 children, offering healing work and writing books. He loves to dream, drive, travel, and hike. He is having fun. You can connect with Borut at borutlesjak.com or stalk him on social media. His words, not ours. He self-publishes and personally reads in response to his email at borutlesjak.com. And that website will be in the show notes. And without further ado, we welcome Borut. So we're going to jump in. How did you get started?
By healing? Well, I was at first doing I was curious about spirituality from since I can remember. So I was reading Indian Hindu texts, not in the original language, of course, in English, and in my native language, Slovenian. Sri Aurobindo was one of them, and some of the things I read really inspired me. And then I was into Castaneda big time. So I was going to workshops to the States practically 3-4 times a year for several years. And then I started to teach that here in Slovenia. And I didn't at that time, I didn't look at myself as a healer. I was merely conveying some information. And honestly, I wasn't probably practicing what I was teaching or preaching enough, because roughly 10 years ago, I reached my own rock bottom. And that was, in short, I was let go of my dream job. I was diagnosed diabetes, and I got divorce papers in the mail. That happened all approximately at the same time. And I was in a bad place. So I had the opportunity of meet David Elliott, first his website, of course. And at first, when I first saw it, actually didn't invite me in. I thought it had to do something with gardening. I don't know why, because I spent 30 seconds just browsing quickly. And then a year later, when I really needed this help, what I was talking about before happened now. And I for some reason, I just returned to that website again. And at that time now, it was different. So I clicked on a breathwork meditation just to listen a little, and I didn't know what to expect. I hadn't done any breathwork before. It was just audio, and I didn't know anything about it. So I heard something like, and I tried it myself, and I did it through the nose because I didn't know better, and it was still okay. And it still convinced me. I mean, something opened up in 1 second, and I knew that I'm gonna exchange a lot with that kind of method. So I did a couple more breaths then, and then I went on to check David Elliott's book, Healing. And I was so fascinated by the amount of kindness, softness, and love that was present in the simplicity of the words in the introduction already. And I just knew that the vibe already helped me move out of my darkest space. And I felt, I don't know, I felt some light, maybe. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I started doing the meditations which David Elliott offers. And after I did the first one, the longer one, man, my heart exploded. Probably for the first time since I was a child. And I could, I found hope again. I could believe that everything is gonna be okay.
Yeah.
I love
that was 10 years ago. Yeah.
Okay. And you touched upon it a little bit, because you mentioned like when you hit rock bottom, that's when you kind of revisit it. But was there, along your journey to healing, was there a point where you knew something needed to change, or a turning point for you?
That point when I stumbled upon David Elliott was probably the biggest turning point in my life. However, I can't see it any other way, but I had many turning points in my life, and I believe that everybody does. Some are maybe not so prominent, and for some we can only tell in retrospective. And maybe I'm kind of, I've been guided by some kind of intuition also from early days on. And so all of my major decisions in life were weird. I did it in a very incoherent, I didn't think about them much. Like marrying my wife, for example, was something I didn't understand at that point. And it's hard probably to convey what was going on and why I said that right now. But I didn't have, I had a certain feeling that she's the one, but everything else was so thoroughly different from what I believed, infatuation or love or I don't know, starting a relationship should be about.
Yeah.
And then there are other occasions, but let me just return the ball to you, and maybe you want to guide me to some other.
Yeah, along your journey though, as far as a healer and an author, have there been challenges, and how did you get through them after that initial introduction to it all?
Okay, yes, in my work, yeah, I get it. So of course, yeah, many people say that in every profession or work you do, there is the honeymoon period at the beginning, right? And it's the same, it was the same with me. So when I first started to, because you see, healing work is something you do simultaneously with other people and on yourself as well, right? And it never really, I believe that you're never really done with the work. So there are challenges, yes, there are challenges all the time, different ones. You kind of spiral to next levels, maybe. I avoid speaking about progression in such terms. I want to say that we're learning new aspects of self-love, maybe. The challenges, the first challenge was probably that I just can't trust my intuition enough to lead a breathwork meditation, because breathwork meditation, guided meditation, the healer is supposed to pick up on the energy flowing around and through the healy and comment on that, or even inspire the breather to to focus on certain blocks in their body, or follow the intuition and trust the intuition. So one of the first challenges was, do I have it? Can I trust it? And I went over that obstacle quite quickly, because I kind of trusted my intuition from early days, as I said, even without knowing so. So that was the first of the challenges. Then marketing, trying to get to the people, trying to find, trying to even, explain what I do. That's hard, right? And for me, probably it was hard also because I didn't want to copy others too much, or none at all. I always wanted to be original. And so another challenge was, at first, of course, I wanted to copy my teacher, David Elliott, as much as I could, so I could be, safe. But after a while, my desire to be original was too strong, and I stopped copying him. And that was challenging, because I didn't know what to do. I didn't even know what else to do, because everything he did was so good. So his tools were great. I didn't know how to improve on them, right? And I didn't want to lie and say, this is my original tool, and it would be his, or just invent another tool, and I didn't even know whether it would work or not, right? So that was a conundrum and the challenge. And eventually I got around to realizing that maybe the most important thing to become a healer in your own right is to find your voice. So to love yourself enough to not even concern yourself with questions whether you are a copy or the original, or unique or special, all of that. Yeah.
On those journey, on this, like when you were introduced to this by David Elliott and just getting into that world, was there like, you feel in the beginning when you feel like you reached a certain level and then something happens and then you're like, wait a minute, I'm not at the level I thought I was? Or does that make sense? Or like, do you sometimes feel like you still backslide and then you have to remind yourself like, no, I'm further along than that?
I understand the question. Yes, I would understand in two ways. I think there are two important issues here. One is that the healing method I'm teaching, it has a safety valve, or maybe I could say that self-love is the core component of this healing work, and it kind of precludes that you keep learning by the day, how to trust yourself. So yeah, maybe within a year or two, I stopped doubting myself. So that wasn't my healing capacity as a healer, trusting my intuition, trusting that I would help people, went away. The doubts went away. So that wasn't too challenging. However, comparing myself to David Elliott stayed. And it's a good thing too, because it kind of, pushes me to keep learning. And maybe I didn't verbalize that correctly, because I don't feel like I'm being pushed or pulled. It inspires me. That's what I want to say. It inspires me and it moves me to realize that he is still learning. He himself, David Elliott, is still learning. He's been doing this for 30 years now, and thousands of people are, visiting him internationally. And so, yeah, I would say he's a success, although he's unknown, right? You hadn't heard about him before, probably, or did you?
No, right.
Yeah, because he keeps repeating that. His first book on healing is titled The Reluctant Healer, and he keeps repeating that he already has too much attention on himself. He's just that kind of guy. And I feel kind of similar to that, but sometimes at the beginning I would wish to get more people, right? Not just so I could support myself doing this work, but because working with a group of 50 is awesome. And I've done that. I know how it feels, but rarely. So I would want to work with that on a regular basis. That's my desire. And so far I'm not there yet. And that's challenging. It's challenging to persist. So even after 10 years of doing this work, I have to admit that I'm still, I could count on the fingers on both of my hands the number of regulars I have. And again, my self-love makes it okay. It's not a problem. I trust the spirit. Sometimes I question myself, am I doing something wrong? Maybe my haircut is all wrong. Maybe, and my humor is not understandable, or my accent, but in the long run I know that I can trust the spirit. And now I have a new mantra. Maybe I'm not, let's say, maybe I'm not a loser. That's the introduction to the mantra. The mantra is, I'm a late bloomer. Mm-hmm. So even I'm not a spring chicken anymore, I still feel that it's gonna be maybe another 10 years because I reach my full potential as a healer.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, Selena and I talk about this, not really on the podcast, but just in terms of energy and just how it affects you. And, like in certain rooms, there's just a certain energy that you can pick up on. And I'm wondering, in that healing space, you're dealing with, I'm sure, all types of different energies and basically people coming to you feeling like they need some form of healing. Do you ever find that, I guess, draining for you? And how do you recharge if you do?
That's a really great question. Let me start with the end. I think that the healing method that I'm using works in a way that I channel the energy of the spirit or of the universe. No, I think really religious here. It's all energy. And so when I work, I never get exhausted. I never use my own energy. That's something David Elliott taught me. I could witness it countless times with him. I could see him, on a workshop when he was jet lagged and even sick at one time. And he was really, I saw him 15 minutes before the workshop, and I brought him breakfast, and I thought it's gonna be hard for him to, lead that workshop. And 15 minutes later, I didn't know what happened. So it's not, that's true. It's a true story, and it works like that. When you, for example, right now, I'm connected and I'm vibrating right now as I speak. I feel tingling sensation in my knees, even though I'm not acting, as a healer to you guys or to the listener, but maybe I am in a way, because the healing is between the healee and the universe. I'm merely here to, open space. So the first part of the question is interesting also, and yes, I feel energy strongly, and I can choose whether to, interpret it and go deeper, or just, just feel it and, just flow through it or around it or whatever. And even that might be interesting also to you and to the listener. I can feel very strongly the collective energies, the energies of the collective. And for example, before the whole pandemic started in the March last year, a couple of weeks before that, I kept waking up in the morning, like 5 a.m. I felt lots of anxiety, and I didn't know where it was coming from because it was not mine. I didn't have any stressful circumstances in my life. I knew I didn't feel my dear ones, my family's energies. So 2 weeks later, I realized that I was already feeling something stirring, and I'm not claiming that I have any kind of superpowers. I'm teaching that everyone can open up and tune to this kind of perception.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah.
I think go ahead.
Go ahead, Iman. You can go.
No, I was going to say it's interesting because I've never thought about just with the healing process, it not being your own energy and it coming kind of through you rather from you. And I think that's such a good perspective because I think me personally, sometimes I feel like drained because I'm using my energy in whatever that situation. So I like that idea or perspective of kind of not internalizing the energy around you, but more so being the person that it goes through. So
yeah, it can save your life. It's really important. And there are other lessons like that. That's why I admire David's work so much, and I really want to teach that whoever I can and lead workshops. I have a workshop in Slovenia locally in 2 days, whole day workshop, and I'm looking forward, to help some guys to be able to help themselves.
Yeah.
Even introducing that concept, like Iman said, I know I haven't thought about it that way either. So I think even introducing that is helpful to just get you to think differently. That's amazing right there, I think. A little bit of a different question, but what's been your biggest motivation up until this point?
Motivation for doing this work?
Yeah, or anything.
Any
Either
kind.
one, whatever. Yeah.
Well, honestly, I mean, this podcast is spiritual enough, so I can be quite direct, right? And uh, I'm teaching that when you open up to the universe enough, you are guided by two principles. Either you want to listen to what the universe is asking you to do, to implement, to bring over, or express for it, and you follow that and do that, or you learn how to do that better. So these two principles are my guiding principles. I try to remind myself, which basically means I try to awaken myself every time I forget that. And of course, I do forget. I'm a human being. I'm never gonna be perfect in terms of becoming what we believe Buddha was or other masters. That's my personal opinion. I don't know. I don't really know. Maybe there are things I can't grasp with my intuition. My intuition is pretty strong and clear, and I think that I understand how mastery works. Maybe it's a thing of the past to focus on an individual and call them a master, or even think about reaching a certain level and then just stay there forever, and be perfect. So maybe that's time for another approach and viewpoint.
Mm-hmm. And I guess switching gears a little bit, but related. So what is something that you hope people say about you when you're not in the room?
That's an interesting question, because depends on which people. If we're talking about my potential clients, I'm hoping that they would kind of see that I'm sincere and doing my best at my work. And if it's my wife we're talking about, then I may be hoping for something else. Maybe I would hope that she sees me that I have changed a lot since that 10 years ago, because spoiler alert, we didn't divorce, and yeah, we have 3 kids. At that time we had 2 already. So the third one, it was intentional, and it means that we want to stay together.
Yeah.
So did I answer your question?
Yeah. Thank you.
Happy to hear your success story as far as marriage goes. Nice.
Yeah.
You seem really happy about it. If you're listening, he lit up, his face lit up when he talked about that. So that's wonderful. This is like random questions at this point, but what's the best advice you've ever received?
If I can answer in a roundabout way again, I would say, because I really believe that some things should be rephrased, maybe. So advice in itself is sometimes not empowering as much as if you are inspired to see something in yourself. So that happens frequently, especially with David Elliott, because I'm still going, of course, to his workshops. Just been this August in Portugal, and it was awesome. And yes, what I just said, my new mantra, he inspired me to realize that I'm a late bloomer. And that, I mean, it's a great advice for me, because now I'm, becoming even more patient, not stressing about not going fast enough. All of that is helpful just from one single idea that I adopted.
Yeah. And it's like, it's too, that's something Iman and I have to remind ourselves of too, not your specific mantra, but whenever you're trying to start something, it just seems like it takes so long, and it's easy to get discouraged, and like you just have to remember to stick with it. And I'm not saying that to you, I'm just saying that in general, because we're like, we want more followers, we want more listeners too, and we work hard on our end, and you don't get in it just for yourself. Like, you get in it because you want to inspire other people too.
Yeah, well, I give people tons of advice too. I just used this opportunity to go deeper, and still I can say that maybe a quick advice is just love yourself. Love yourself, and you'll see that everything will change. People will love you more. You'll get happier. You'll have more energy. You'll shine more often. And so I think that's a great advice.
We hear love yourself a lot. It can almost become trite, but we hear it all the time. But what would be quick practices that you could share with us that we could take away today to start loving ourselves more?
So just a quick reply for you, Celine, is you can love yourself for posing such a great question. It's really an awesome question, and you guys both, Iman, also are doing a really. I'm vibrating as much as I am because this is a great interview. It's a really spiritual interview, and it's you guys who are doing this. So if you are aware of that, that could be an aspect of self-love, right? And if you can feel it, like almost like if you're embracing yourselves, you don't have to do it physically. You can, just generate. That's one of the tools I'm teaching. You can generate a mood, your own mood, or a feeling. I'm not saying emotions. Emotions can be tricky. And I don't want to negate emotions, neither in theory nor in practice. So if you feel an emotion, I'd say flow with it. Let it pass through you. Doesn't matter what kind of emotion it is. And when you're doing it during the breathwork meditation, I always keep nudging you to feel more, to open up to more experience and emotions. And even if sadness comes up and you start crying, that's awesome. You'll get one of the best experiences then, because you love yourself while you're doing that. The method I'm teaching, which is not mine, even David says it's not his, but this method really incorporates self-love concept at the core. So it's always present. While you're doing the breath work, you're generating the self-love in your heart. And when you touch upon the negativity in your life, or the negative emotions come, you are halfway there, and the other half is generating self-love. So that's where the healing comes from, where that connects.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Did I miss anything with the question? Was that about it?
I don't know. We have to go try it, and then.
Yes. By all means. I mean, practice. Talking about breathwork is not really enough, I'd say. Even though, there are other methods, I would strongly suggest that you meditate in some way in your life. If you need it, not always we do, or all the time, but when you reach a down in your life, some form of meditation can be really, really helpful. And breathwork, the active meditation, and the method I'm teaching has lots of safety valves, so you can do it by yourself without, as a beginner, and it can be done in the midst of harsh circumstances. even when the noise is coming out. I can give you another example. It's a success story also. Maybe it will be very interesting to the listeners. When I was diagnosed diabetes, I had to go to the hospital for the first week so they trained me how to deal with it, how to use insulin and what to eat and how and so on. And I was already a breather then, so I already knew how to use the breathwork meditation. I used to be really shy, and I wouldn't even, do any kind of yoga, or I wouldn't expose myself before in my past. I would never, do anything weird in public. Let's say. Sometimes I did, but not spiritually weird. Okay, and okay, let me stick with the story. So when I was on the how do you say, in my room in the hospital, I was one of the 3 patients there. I was in the middle bed, and it was kind of depressing, really. My first night there, my whole life turned upside down. I knew I could never again be the same man, and I would be dependent on insulin. And they gave me the sticker around my arm so I wouldn't run away, and so they could identify me. And I felt like I was just becoming a number and a case among lots of cases. So yes, it was difficult. It was a really tough challenge. And then I laid down in my bed, and nurses were going in and out, and one of my roommates, is that the right term for the hospital? He kept coughing. It was really severe. I didn't know what was going on. And I just started to meditate. I put on the meditation recording, David Elliott's recording, put in the headphones. I did it right there in the midst of all that chaos. I was, super shy still, but I just knew I had to do it. I went out of every comfort zone, but self-love makes every zone a comfort zone. And I did the meditation right there, and this nurse came halfway through and asked me for my blood sample, and I just, rolled up my sleeve and said, yeah, go ahead. I was meditating while she was doing that. I apologized to her for having to meditate, but I didn't stop, Yeah. So that's why I love this tool, because you can use it everywhere at any time. It's very pragmatical. It's not that much spiritual, and
Yeah,
it's grounded. Yeah. So you guys, I don't know if I'm sorry, maybe I can just add this. If you have, maybe we can do it just for 10 seconds. I can show it to you. And yeah.
Yeah, sure, of course.
So I already showed you the breath. That's it. You just keep repeating that. Usually you would lay down on your backs and close your eyes, but right now you can just close your eyes briefly and just repeat the breath. Maybe before you close your eyes, I'll just show it again. The first breath goes, you do 2 inhalations and 1 exhalation. And the first inhalation goes under your belly button, so in the 2nd chakra. And the second inhalation goes very high in the chest, high up in the chest. So like this. Yeah, it doesn't really matter whether you miss an inch or 2, it's not that important, just so you can feel it flows through the heart. So the first breath in, the second one, and then exhalation, all through the mouth. And then you just repeat that, and we can all close our eyes now and just do it maybe 10 times. And I'll just breathe very loud so you can follow, but you can find your own rhythm. So. So you just keep going, guys. I'll just talk while you do the maybe 5 more, because I guide you while you're breathing, and you don't get distracted. Even if you do, we still use that as a fuel for self-love, I say. Usually I'd put on some music, and that's probably the gist of it. So whenever you're ready, you can stop and then return, maybe just take a second or two to ground again, feel your body. I know in just a short time, you probably didn't experience so much vibration as you can in maybe 10 or 15 or 20 minutes. But 20 minutes of active breathing would probably be enough for most people. So that's the amount of time I'm doing it, leading.
I felt something in my head, but wait. So when we practice again by ourselves, it goes, can you show me one more time?
Of course. It goes like this. So when you lie down, it's not that jerky. You make yourself comfortable. And you know what? It's going to be even easier if you take 5 seconds to, either I can mail it to you, or you can just find my webpage, borutlesjak.com, or breathwork.fun, my new domain name, breathwork.fun, easy to spell in English. That's it. And if you register, you'll get, I think, at least one free breathwork meditation recording, maybe even more. I don't remember right now. Even some materials. So you can do it with the recording. That's probably the easiest way on your first try. I always do it. I still try to breathe every day myself, and I use the recordings. That's the best, because even the music has its charm, because it relaxes you, and after a few minutes, the mind wants to keep the control, and you can get a little bit of resistance. It's different every time. Sometimes you yawn a lot. Yeah, yawn. Sometimes you start to cough or get itchy. And what I usually say, just keep breathing. It will go away. You don't need to concern yourself with that. It's purely in your mind. And what we're doing is we're relaxing the mind as we go. So you just keep breathing and listen to the music, listen to my beautiful accent, and a little bit of humor. Sometimes it's good to let out a little laughter, or even a cry, a yell. So I sometimes in some of the recordings I guide you to do that when you're dealing with anger or frustration or even sadness. It shakes you up and gets you in tune with your body, with your sensations more, so you could go out of your mind. In a good way.
It sounds like a lot of the healing self-love process is a lot of kind of just being quiet by yourself and reflective. So I'm just wondering, at this point, 10 years later, how much meditation do you do, like a day, or like, I guess, internal reflection?
A lot. And it usually I'm doing it while I'm doing other things. Now, that might sound contradictory, but I learned that meditation can be practically anything, as long as it, let's define it, that as long as it maybe opens up your heart chakra, makes you a more loving and kind person towards yourself and then others and the whole world, and calms you down, gets you more present in the moment. And trust me, you can do that without sitting still. That's what I used to do with Castaneda's techniques. And ironically, it worked the best when I stopped breathing completely for a moment, for a minute, right? And then I had to start breathing again. So the breath work is the opposite. You do breathe quite, strongly. It's not hyperventilation just to stress that. It's never about that. It's not about peak experience even. It's about doing a regular meditation, I call it. So yes, I do that, the breath work, and then I do other forms, like, for example, just closing my eyes and just feeling my body. Sometimes I usually do that every morning. Basically, I don't miss any. Even now, when the winter is coming, I'll be out there barefoot for a minute, standing in the snow and closing my eyes, feeling whatever I feel, even the cold. It's okay. I'm not gonna freeze to death, not in 1 minute. But I'm not there to torture myself. I'm there to feel Mother Earth, to hear it, close my eyes first, and then just listen. And then I feel on my skin, I smell. Sometimes I get a metallic taste in my mouth, according to ancient Oriental wisdom. That means my chakras are opening, and that's good. So yeah, I have many forms of meditation, even while I'm driving, listening to the music, watching Netflix, even the good stuff, maybe every stuff, I don't know.
Yeah, I like that concept too, because I feel like a lot of, well, at least where I am, a lot of people, we hear meditation and we just think, like you just sit somewhere and not do anything else.
Yeah.
And I like that there is more than one approach to it, and that it doesn't have to be this thing where you sit for an hour in a room quietly, even though that's nothing wrong with that, but that can be intimidating, especially for a beginner.
You see what you did. You are opening up to all the possibilities, and I really love that. And so that's really, I really love your show. It's rare still. I mean, these days people are becoming very opinionated for some reason. Maybe it's the the abundance of information we get, and all the I'm not going into it. I can answer questions, but I'm not starting opening up the Pandora box. And so I love your energy, your vibe very much, and thank you for having me here.
Thank you.
Thank you. You too. Well, before, because we're running out of time, I want to be respectful, and I know it's late there. Again, thank you so much. But the reason we started the podcast is because Iman and I, they were like, we wanted to be entrepreneurs. And then they're like, what do you enjoy doing when you're not at work? Or like, what do you read for fun? And both of us read just like spiritual books, self-growth, personal development, all that. And so we wanted to define success on our own. And that's why we started the show, and like hear people's stories from all over the world. And so what is your definition of success?
Okay, the big one. Well, I would say it's a very individual and subjective thing. And if you're happy with your life, if you can love it, if you can find something beautiful and cherish anything in your day, I think that's huge success. So definitely not connected to any specifics, even though returning to what I commanded you about, to each his own, right? Their own nowadays. And if money is your thing, good for you. I like money. I'm not obsessed with it. I don't judge anyone. I have friends with lots of money, and most of them, if not everyone, are still the ones I knew from before. So yes, all those dogmas, things that spoil you. No, I think success is quite independent of anything material, probably. It's quite spiritual, I would say. Maybe because I'm leaning toward that. So like you are, right?
Yeah.
And it's good to be a bridge, I think, like you are, between the spiritual and between the, you know, business side, entrepreneurs. I think that's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that enough, or should I add something? I'm not that desperate, you know, about the, it's not that late here. So thank
Oh, I
you
see. I
for your appreciation of that.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
I just had, because you touched upon it a little bit, but just going back to the friends thing, what are some qualities and traits people need to have to be in your circle and to be considered a friend?
That's an awesome question again, really. So my old friends, they are from, you know, forever here. And I would never think of, personally, I'm not a guy who would hold a grudge ever. So I never broke up with anyone in my life. Even on Facebook, I only block those who just try to sell me stuff and spam. And I know that they would mind. And it's not because I would want to hurt anyone's feelings, it's just the way I am. Because I think I always believed in second chances in relationships, anywhere, everywhere, right? So for new friends, I'm open. I don't have any specifications like that. I really admire when people are, you know, I go with my intuition. Probably I would feel what kind of vibe I'm getting. But then again, I mean, with my most dear ones, I'm sometimes getting really bad vibes, right? Getting into arguments still, you know, and because c'est la vie, right? We're not pretending to be anything above that. And so, yeah, with friends, it doesn't really matter maybe what they are, how they are. I would just go with the flow. So if they come to my circle, to my presence, if they want to be friends, I don't even think along those lines, like friends or not friends. No, even the best friends, sometimes I don't meet them for a long time, and it's okay. And when we do, it's good. It's intensity of presence.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Something you said about second chances, I love, but and then like we feel vibes, and like someone recently said to me, like, you know, Selena, at a certain point, you had bad vibes. And it's funny that we always, not you, but just in general, we might think when we hear that, like I never thought of myself as giving off bad vibes. And it was someone in my family, and I appreciated it because they were like, you're not always, you don't always give off bad vibes, but everyone goes through things. And sometimes it's not even about the person you're talking, like say right now you felt bad vibes. We just met. So it's obviously not about you. It's just in general, like sometimes we're giving off something we don't realize we are because we're in that space within. And so I think it's, now if someone's always 100% of the time like bad vibes, then okay. But I love that concept of like, oh, you give people second chances because they're not, normally no one is one way all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah. You get what?
Yeah. Yes, and it's multi-dimensional, even what even a vibe is, because I'm kind of being vague here, but I haven't analyzed that so thoroughly because I don't mind. I'm not really judging people or measuring or gauging them up when they come to my presence.
Yeah.
You know, so just, you know, theoretically, I could say that as I can see, yeah, you can have some old energies trapped within you that you even inherited, you know, and some intuitive persons could feel that in you, and you wouldn't even know that you have that, even abuse energy, right? And then, yeah, you can have a bad day and you don't even know that you're acting differently. or you are acting all, smiley and, positive, but, an intuitive person again could, sense through that mask or, disguise. And it doesn't matter even if it could be subconscious, you're not doing it on purpose. So it's even not, it's not worth trying to figure it out. As long as you that's why self-love is so important to me. You have to love yourself, and then it's so easy to love everyone. It's so much easier. And of course, if they hit you or want to hit you or yell at you or abuse you, you need to do something about it, right? I'm not saying that you can like Jesus, you can how do you say, turn the cheek, right?
Turn the cheek, yeah.
And the other cheek, but you can do that once or twice even, and then at a certain point you have to, we are intelligent beings, we adapt, we learn, so we can find some other solution. It doesn't have to be black and white. It doesn't have to be either or. I prefer and.
And how do you, real quick, you said energy can be passed on through you, or in that you're not even aware of it. Do you have any tips of like how you can be aware of that and how you can get it? Because I wouldn't want to give that off, but then if you don't even know it's happening, how can you fix it?
Well, if you really want to know, then the best answer would be to start practicing and learning how to become a healer. Maybe you can even go to David Elliott's workshops. I'm not certified to teach healers yet, even though if you come to any of my events, you learn a lot about becoming what you want to be. And why would I say that? Because it takes practice. You practice. I don't say that I don't see it that way with all of my intuition. I think it's called claircognizance. So my intuition is I just know things. Sometimes it gets really loud. So it's hard to believe sometimes that I know things. It's just so many coincidences. But then again, now that I'm working with self-love, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter when I know something about you. What matters is whether you can be inspired by something I say. So whatever I say, I see you guys are paying lots of attention, and maybe you can be inspired. It goes even beyond this, interview for you guys. Who knows? Things can change your lives without, expecting that. So yeah, training. If you do breath work daily, or at least a few times a week, that helps you tune up your intuition really strongly. And you see through yourself, through masks. It takes some time to see through your blind spots and probably never reach the complete clarity, but you'll be amazed how much you can change in a few years or even in a few months. And again, maybe just the last thing I want to address with this question is insensitivity is a huge issue in these times, because lots of people, me included, are very in our minds. And if you don't train yourself to get out of your mind, again, in a good way, to move your awareness more to your heart and to feel the energy flow instead of only thinking about things. It's good to think, and it's good to combine with the intuition. So insensitive guys, we don't, because I can count myself in that category still. Oftentimes, we don't even understand what we're doing. We can, our insensitivity, our own I want to say unwillingness, even though that's it's hard to admit. Usually, you would say that you're not able to feel because you were abused as a child and you closed up. You didn't want to feel. That's a coping mechanism. You're in denial, and you still don't feel. You think a lot, but you don't feel. So when you meet someone who's hurting, you think about it, but you can't be compassionate. And for them, in their eyes or feelings, you're exuding negative vibes for sure. Even though you're not even exuding anything, you're just there. You're just like a robot and not doing anything, but not doing something when you probably should give someone a hug. Depends again if it's your child or a stranger on the in the street. You don't need to hug everyone, but you know what I'm trying to say, right?
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, you gave me, I can't speak for Iman, but you gave me a lot to think about today. And a lot, I have a lot of research to do, a lot of work to do.
Good. Put it to practice too. Good.
Yes, new ideas and a different approach to things that I had never been introduced to. So I really appreciate that. We're gonna wrap up. Does anyone else have anything else?
Well, if I may, I just want to invite everyone who's listening to this, if you felt anything nearly strong enough as maybe Selena and Iman right now, then I invite you to just, study this further. And if you're in the States, there are other breathwork teachers there. Again, I'm for all of the modalities out there. To each their own, right? And I have to make a point for this method because I believe it's really something new coming to this world. It brings great non-judgmental neutrality, where you're not just seeking positivity and something on the outside, but you're generating it within your heart. And that's really empowering. So check it out. If you want, come to my webpage and try to meditate. Practice will let you know whether it's for you or not. And then join my events and even read some of my books if you want. And my books are on my website too, if you're interested. So thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to introduce myself.
Yeah,
of course. We're gonna have your website. Sorry, Iman. We're gonna have your website in the show notes. So everyone check the show notes too. And what were you saying, Iman? I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying thank you for sharing this and also giving me some ideas, because I think kind of like what Selena said, sometimes with the meditation piece, it's like, oh, I just don't have time to sit quietly, but you just showing that there's so many different ways to do it and to do that breath work and that healing. So I'm inspired to get started.
Perfect. Sure. And even you two working together, there is, if I may tell you or say so, my intuition is that you have a great synergy. Your energy together is healing, whatever you would be talking about. So if you can feel that and become more aware of that, it really doesn't matter what subjects you journey to in the future. So just my 2 cents.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. I appreciate your 2 cents. Okay. So we'll close out. All right. So thank you, Borut, for sharing your time with us and inspiring our listeners to redefine success for themselves.
And of course, thank you, listeners. We could not do this without you. Remember to hit like and comment on this episode. You can also share this episode and leave a review. We always want to hear your feedback. Remember to subscribe at U Plus Happy Podcast, also available on YouTube, and you can follow us on Instagram at U Plus Happy.
We'll see you next week, same time, same place. And we ask our guests to say our tagline, which is, it's a bit long, but it is, we'll show you our definition of success if you show us yours.
Of course, we'll show you our definition of success if you show us yours.
Perfect.
Yay.